Good morning everyone. We are back with part 2 of how to make a chatbot in Python for beginners. Okay, so this is how our code looked like last time, right? So we are going to improve this code so that instead of hard coding everything, you can let the user input his own answers and save them to a text file from which you can read them later, right? So the first thing we have to do is we have to go and make a new file. So you come here, right click, press new Python file and name it chatbot2, right? Now the reason I did not delete this chatbot or just remove all its code and write it again is because this is a module and it can be imported into this module and run, right? So you see I defined run over here, right? I just made a few changes that I defined this while loop. I just tabbed it and I made it under the definition run. So now this can be accessed. I can run this chatbot by coming here and just doing import chatbot and chatbot.run. So now this will run the chatbot. So if we run this, run chatbot2, and we say hi. Now there were some things we already did. So it will say hello, same like what we did over here, right? That's because we're calling it from here. And you'll see the while loop also stays. It comes again. So, but we are not going to be doing that right now. First, we are going to improve our old code. So what we are going to do this time is we are going to have a data.txt, right? It's same. You come here, click new, create file and create a new file, but we're not doing that because I already did that. You can do that. So then you click this data. Now I've already put some data over here, but I'm going to remove it for now just for the example, right? All you have to put is this. This is what a list looks like and what we'll be reading from the data.txt. Okay, so what we have to do first is we have to make the while loop. So while true, so that makes it infinite. Then we have to set match equals to false, which is basically this variable is to say if it matches, then I'll put this match equals to true. Until then it didn't match. So now we'll ask for user input. So we'll just say user input equals input, same like last time. And then we will open a file as f1. So f1 equals open data.txt for read, right? This R is to denote read. And then we'll go, then we will set our data to the contents of that list. So data equals f1.read. Now this will store data as a string, okay, and we want it to be a list. So we will have to evaluate the contents in this list, because if you see that if I just put list over here, it will take every single thing. So the two parts of the list would be this one bracket and this second bracket, and we don't want that. We want it to evaluate the contents of that list, and then we'll make it into a list just to be sure that it's a list, right? Though it will probably make the list by itself when we come to eval, we just want to make sure, right? I mean, what could go wrong? Control Alt L for the format. And then what we have to do is we have to loop through everything in that data.txt. So we will do for pair in range 0 to len of data. So what this does is it finds every pair of information in data, right? I didn't do anything wrong, did I? No, it's just because we haven't written anything under it. Oh no, wait. There, now it's fine. I indented it wrong. Okay. Then what we have to do is for questions in range 0 len of data pair to access all the pairs and 0 to access the questions. I will show you what the structure of our data looks like in a minute. We'll just say print just to stop the errors. Now I will show you, oh screw the errors, I don't care. So now I'll show you what the structure of our data looks like. So inside the list there will be one tuple which will have two tuples inside of it, okay? And these two tuples represent the question and answer. See, this would be question and this would be answer. Now the reason I put them in tuples was so that, like, if you had multiple questions for only one answer, or you wanted to put multiple answers and we can randomize between them, you can do that. But remember, whenever you're putting only one item in a tuple, you have to put one comma after that to let it know that it's still a tuple. It is not just these. Otherwise it gives some errors. It'll take QUESTION like that as parts of the list separately, right? So you have to put a thing after that. But we are just going to make it hi, just for the testing, hi, and it should say hello, right? So then we'll go here and we'll remove this print statement, and then we'll do if user input is equivalent to data pair 0 QUES questions. Okay, so this will loop through every question in the entire data text file. Then we'll do ans index equals to random. Now we didn't import random, so we have to import this name and import this random. So you'll see it automatically imported it here, which is a good thing about this. Dot randint 0 to len of data pair 1 and -1. Because the reason we're doing this is, what this is doing, it is taking a random integer between 0 and the length of data pair -1. Now this -1 is here. Why we didn't use -1 here is because in range means there is already a -1 on the second one, but in randint it counts this without the -1, so we have to manually enter a -1 over there, right? So if I said 0 to 6, it will count 6 also over here if I said 0 to 6, but if I put 0 to 6 here, it will only count 0 to 5. So that's a good example. Then answer equals to data pair 1 ans, ans index, right? we're just formatting this. I don't like all these weird lines, right? So then yeah, so now we can add our if statements over here. So like if you want to do some special thing over here, then do this. But for now we're just going to print ans, right? And then we're going to put match equals true to show that it matched, and we are going to break from this loop. Now the thing is, there are two loops over here, so we have to break from both the loops. So we're gonna come down here and go to this for loop, and we're gonna say if match, this basically means if match is true, then we are going to break from this loop also, right? Because if we didn't break from this loop, then this loop would still go on, right? And yeah, that will break from all the loops. And over here we're going to put if not match. So if it didn't match after looping through the entire data, then we are going to use an add. You know what, just not do that for now. First we'll run this and check. Okay, shift F10, stop and rerun. So now we only coded one answer in it. So if we say hi, it should have printed the answer. What are we doing wrong here?
A few moments later.
So what we are going to do is we are just going to add that second part right now. So if if I user input, in my reference project I used I. So if user input is equivalent to add, then we are going to use add num, which we will make a function later. If it is not add, then we are going to print the answer. Okay, so now we need to make add num. So we're gonna create function add num. It's gonna take n1, is it m? Oh shit, it's m. Is n1 equals integer version of input. Alright, sorry, input with the brackets, and then n2 equals int version of input. Okay, we're gonna have to add some prompts here, so n1, just so that we know. N2, and then we're going to print n1 plus n2, right? Control Alt L to format that properly. And now we'll try shift F10, stop and rerun. Hi. Okay, so it's still not working.
More moments later.
We're gonna have to do a better. Oh, okay, I get the problem. Remember how I told you that if we didn't put a comma after it, there are going to be errors? So that's the thing, we didn't put a comma after it. So we're gonna have to put a comma here and here and here. So now it knows there are commas everywhere. So Control S, Shift F10, stop and rerun. Now if we write hi, it prints hello. Okay, so that was the problem. Okay, and if we write add, it should give us our add num. User input was equal to add, then add num. Add we're doing something wrong again, aren't we? If what we write here is equivalent to add, which it is. Okay, so I get the problem. This is only calling inside if user input is in the data. So it is not in the data, so we have to add it over here. So actually now we'll create the adding of, so users can add their own answers, right? So if over here, if not match, then what we are going to do, we are going to call add ans, right? And this is going to add another answer. Alt enter, create function add ans, and in that add ans we are going to ask them for an answer. Answer equals input ans. Then we are going to append data dot append, and in that we are going to append what happened here, we are going to append the question, comma. Never forget that comma, it is very dangerous, and just like me it will be difficult to figure it out. And we will add, alright, we have to take a parameter here which is the question to add. So question, right? And we are going to add question and ans, right? And that fixes all the errors. Control Alt L to format. And now the thing is, we have appended it to our data, but next loop it is still going to read the data in the text file. So we have to add this data into our text file. So what we are going to do is f2 equals open data.txt for writing this time. But writing, the problem is it deletes everything in the file, but luckily we need that right now because when we open the file we saved what is read in it, so that's fine. And then now we're going to do f2 dot write, which it basically just writes what you inform it. So if we put data in here, the problem is that this is in a list form. It you can only write strings inside a text file, so we're gonna convert this to a string, right? And now we have to close this file. So f2 dot close. So now why I did not close f1 was because it has to be open all the time, right? It always has to be open so that you could read it every time, and if you force close the program, it closes the files along with it. But if you have two files open at the same time, it might cause some errors, like if you leave them open. So we close that file. Okay, and I made a small typo here. This ans is not what we want. This ans over here is referring to this ans and not this one. We have to change that to answer, sorry, right? So now everything should work properly. Alright, we are also supposed to pass in a question, and we didn't do that. So we're gonna put user input as the question. So user input, right? Now let's try running this. It should work. If we say hi, it should give us hello, and if we say add, it should ask us to add an answer. So we are going to add. So if we type add, the answer will be add, okay? And sometimes we might want multiple questions to refer to the answer add. So we can just do that. We'll stop this. So now what should be that add will have come in our data. See, add is here. So now what we can do, we can add some more things. So we can also put sum over here, sum. Then what else should we put? I think sum is enough. And now answer is only add. There's nothing else as the answer. So what we can do, we can just put if ans is equal to add. Ans is equal to add, right? Because there's only one thing in the answer tuple, and it takes only that much from it. So it will never be anything other than add. So if ans is equal to add, then add num. Okay? So now if we run this again, and we come here, and we say add, it should call the add num. We put 1, 2, it gives us the correct answer. Even if we put sum, it should still call the same thing, right? And 1, 2, 3 gives us the correct answer. So that was basically what I wanted to show you. We can also add one more thing, that if ans is equivalent to quit, then quit. Oh, that's already a function. Then quitself, that's definitely not a function, right? So alt enter to create that one. And here we're going to use sys. We didn't import system, so alt enter. What, why isn't it working? Dot exit. Oh, okay, there. So now we can import sys. So that imported the system, and then exit with the status 0, right? So it won't raise any error or anything. So if ans is equivalent to quit, now we can put multiple things equivalent to quit. So we'll just go in here and do that. We'll take this one, Control C, put a comma here, Control V, and then we'll put this as bye and goodbye. I made God bye. Okay, goodbye, and that should return quit, quit, right? So now we'll Control S to save and Shift F10 to run. So now if we say bye, it quits, which is good. But we also want to say bye when quitting, because we're polite. I mean, like, why not? So print bye, right? Now Shift F10, and if we say bye, it also prints bye. So we got that, and that was it for this tutorial. You can still do many things with this format, and it's much more flexible. You can let the user add his own answers. Like, suppose I say, how are you? So then you can add your own answer. Be creative. Anything in the string is replaceable, but make sure you are replacing it correctly, right? So if I say how are you, it will say how are you, like that. You can make your bot have an attitude too. So now you can just type how are you is how are you. So I can say I am fine. That doesn't have an answer either. You could just say good, right? Now if you quit the program, these things will still be there. So suppose I run it again, it will say suppose I say how are you, it'll still say how are you. So I'll say I am fine, good. So that's the thing. Now if anybody knows how to use database, I have not tried using a database, but you could try using database. I just don't know how. So yeah, those are some of the things you can do. Next video I might make how to use database if I can figure how to work them out, right? Okay, so that was it for this video. Thank you and have a good day.